This is the story of Benicia, California, a company town that was once the state capital, once home to a military arsenal with camels, and for the last 60 years home to one of the largest oil refineries on the West Coast. Now that refinery is going dark, creating a fiscal crisis that is ripping a hole of $10 to $12 million out of the city's entire $60 million budget, nearly 20%. Benicia sits on the north bank of the Carquinez Strait in the San Francisco Bay Area, with a population just over 27,000. It's a small city with a massive problem. In April 2026, Valero Energy shut down its refinery for good, eliminating 400 direct jobs and up to 1,200 when you count the ripple effects. Like Flint with its auto plants or Gary with its steel mills, Benicia is discovering what happens when a company town loses its company. The city is staring down that annual hole of $10 to $12 million in a $60 million budget, and nobody has a clean answer for what comes next. Let's rewind. Benicia has one of the wildest origin stories of any city in California. Founded in 1847, it was originally supposed to be called Francisca, named after the wife of General Mariano Guadalupe Vallejo. When Yerba Buena renamed itself San Francisco, the founders pivoted to the general's wife's middle name instead, Benicia. In February 1848, the first word of gold discovered at Sutter's mill leaked out at a Benicia tavern, literally helping spark the California gold rush. By 1853, Benicia was the state capital. It held that title for 13 months before Sacramento took over. Then came the Arsenal. Starting in 1849, the Benicia Arsenal supplied weapons to U.S. troops through multiple wars. Ulysses S. Grant passed through. William Tecumseh Sherman passed through. At one point, the Army even shipped camels there, imported from the Middle East as an experiment in desert pack animals. The Civil War killed the camel program, and the animals were auctioned off right there in Benicia. You can't make this stuff up. The arsenal served as the town's economic backbone for over a century. Then, in 1964, it was decommissioned. Here's where the story gets interesting. Benicia didn't collapse. City leaders converted the arsenal grounds into an industrial park that eventually generated more revenue than the Army ever had. Benicia proved it could reinvent itself. 4 years after the arsenal closed in 1968, Humble Oil, later known as Exxon, built a refinery on the waterfront. It started operations in 1969, and for decades it quietly became the financial engine of the entire city. Valero bought it in 2000 and ramped it up to 145,000 barrels of crude oil per day, making it the sixth largest refinery in California, responsible for roughly 12% of the state's gasoline production. That refinery didn't just employ 400 people. It funded everything. The utility users' tax brought in $4.4 million. Property taxes brought in another $2.6 million. Sales taxes added $800,000. The water fund, $3 million. Local restaurants like El Villarita's Cantina depended on refinery workers as a core customer base. Valero sponsored school fundraisers and youth sports. The refinery wasn't just an employer, it was the town's circulatory system. Then came October 2024. The Bay Area Air Quality Management District, along with the California Air Resources Board, slapped Valero with an $82 million fine, the largest air quality penalty the district had ever issued. Inspectors discovered the refinery had been emitting massive amounts of organic compounds, an estimated 8,400 tons over the violation period, averaging more than 2.7 tons per day on days violations occurred. That was over 360 times the legal limit. The sting was worse. Inspectors found that refinery management had known about these emissions since at least 2003, 16 years before the inspection caught it. They never reported it, and they never took steps to fix it. That same month, Valero settled a separate lawsuit for $2.38 million for spilling refinery waste into the bay. The writing was on the wall. On April 16, 2025, Valero formally notified the California Energy Commission of its intent to cease operations. CEO Lane Riggs pointed to California's regulatory environment, calling it the most stringent and difficult of anywhere else in North America. The low-carbon fuel standard and cap-and-trade program had fundamentally changed the economics of petroleum refining in California. Independent analysis tells a more complicated story, suggesting the closure stems from poor performance, aging infrastructure, those massive environmental violations, and the shifting economics of the oil industry itself. Valero recorded an impairment charge of $1.1 billion for Benicia and its Wilmington refinery, plus $337 million in expected retirement obligations. The city's reaction was immediate. Mayor Steve Young said the hit on the community is going to be severe. City manager Mario Giuliani called it a seismic shift in the city's ability to provide services. The city started burning through reserves, pulling $3.5 million just to cover anticipated shortfalls, and they will not even know the true financial damage until early 2027. By January 2026, the shutdown was confirmed as permanent. 237 employees received layoff notices scheduled between March and July. These workers were not unionized. Refinery manager Lauren Bird's layoff notification letter included a line that says everything about how this transition is going. We do not plan to coordinate services with the local workforce development board or any other entity. Think about that. 400 workers, most earning around $50 an hour plus benefits, are about to enter a job market where the typical wage for workers without a college degree is closer to $25 an hour. Research from previous refinery closures in California, including the Marathon Martinez shutdown, shows former workers ended up in jobs paying $12 an hour less, a 24% pay cut. Without union representation, they lose their ability to collectively bargain for better conditions. About 20 employees will remain to help Valero continue importing, storing, and distributing fuel. Here's the twist. Valero is not leaving the fuel business in Northern California. They are just done refining it here. California invested $3 million to support affected workers and businesses, funding apprenticeship programs in trades like plumbing, electrical work, and sheet metal. State lawmakers reportedly negotiated a potential bailout ranging from $80 million to $200 million just to cover maintenance costs during the transition. The city even asked the Air District to redirect part of that $82 million settlement to help cover the general fund shortfall. Then there's the gas price question. California has gone from 23 refineries in 2000 to just 9 that can produce California-grade gasoline and carbob blend stock today. The Benicia closure, combined with Phillips 66 shutting down its Los Angeles refinery, means the state loses about 17% of its refining capacity in a single year. Projections range wildly. The moderate estimate from UC Davis suggests prices could rise $1.21 per gallon by August 2026. The worst-case scenario from a USC professor projects gas could hit $8.43 per gallon. The truth probably lands somewhere in between, but either way, every driver in California is going to feel this. Mayor Young acknowledged one silver lining. We will have less asthma and fewer respiratory diseases, likely. At least that is what the data shows. After decades of emissions, hundreds of times over the legal limit, the air in Benicia is about to get a lot cleaner air. Whether that is enough consolation for a town facing fiscal crisis is another question entirely. Benicia has done this before. It survived losing the state capital. It survived the arsenal closing. City manager Giuliani invoked that history, saying Benicia has shown time and again that we are resilient. Resilience is easier when you have a next act waiting in the wings. In 1964, the industrial park was a ready-made replacement. In 2026, the replacement has not been written yet. The city is running on reserves, waiting for clarity that will not come until 2027, and watching its workforce scatter to jobs that pay half as much. This is what happens when a company town loses its company. Not in a dramatic explosion, not in a single bad day, but in a slow, bureaucratic wind down stretched across months of layoff notices and budget meetings. Benicia is not dead, but for the first time in its history, the next chapter is completely blank.